I'm an only child. I have always wanted a sister, and while I was never able to have one, I do have the next best thing. I have a cousin named Riley who has been my best friend for as long as I can remember. We are just about as close as sisters, and I know we would be even closer if she did not live as far away as New York. I have always looked up to Riley. There are many reasons for this, including, but not limited to, her individuality, her generosity, and her enthusiastic, fun spirit. For these reasons, however far away we are, Riley and I will always be as close as sisters. The first reason I admire my cousin is how unapologetic and unique she is. This trait is a key aspect to her personality, and I love it. Her boldness shows up in the way she expresses herself, namely her hair. She has beautiful curly hair that I may or may not be jealous of. The thing that makes it so unique is the fact that it's a different color every single time I see her. I actually don't think there's a color that Riley hasn't dyed her hair. Blue, pink, green, yellow, you name it, she's done it. She shows how unique she is in ways other than her hair as well. For example, her clothing style. I am convinced that my cousin is one of the most fashionable people I've ever met. She is the kind of person to make anything look good, whether it be a fancy dress with heels and makeup or an old Hawaiian shirt from the thrift store. Her edgy sense of style is something that has always inspired me. Her individuality is apparent in the way she presents herself as well. She is strong and opinionated and never afraid to speak her mind. I wish I had a little more of that characteristic myself. Her authenticity and boldness is something I've always looked up to. While I admire my cousin for being unique, that's not the only reason why I love her. The thing that makes me love Riley the most is how caring she is. She is always going out of her way for me and always wants me to be happy. I know that if I ever need or want anything, no matter how silly or trivial, Riley will be there. One Christmas, when we were little, our grandma gave us sweaters that were almost identical, except for the fact that one had pink details and the other had purple. I had been given the pink one, and apparently I'd wanted the purple one, so this was a big problem for me. I expressed this to Riley, who kindly traded sweaters with me. This story from when we were little is a great example of how compliant she is, even when she doesn't understand why something matters to me. The sweater trading fiasco was clearly pretty silly, but Riley is also there when it counts. A recent example of this was at my dad's birthday a few months ago. We took him axe throwing. Yes, I said axe throwing, but that's beside the point. Anyway, we were there with a few friends when all of a sudden in walks Riley and her family. I'll take this time to remind you that they live in New York, a 10-hour drive away, and we were definitely not expecting them. Their presence was such a nice surprise, and it was incredibly kind of them to come all that way. Yes, it was her whole family who was so thoughtful and generous, but Riley did not have to come. She had just started college, and she agreed to get up at 3 a.m. and do her homework in the car on the way to Michigan. And she gets car sick, so I can only imagine how fun that must have been for her. I can't even explain how amazing it was that Riley and her family showed up that day, and I will never forget that. Her generosity plays a large part in why I look up to Riley, but there is one thing that has come before even that. I think the reason I feel so comfortable around my cousin is that we always have fun together. Some of my all-time favorite memories with Riley are the ones where we were just messing around, having a good time. Our most memorable pastime growing up was playing Barbies. Without fail, every single time we saw each other, we would constantly be playing Barbies. We had a name for every doll we had, and let me tell you, there were a lot of them. We would also make food together all the time. It's not like we were culinary prodigies or anything, but she would always make me milkshakes and smoothies, which I thought was pretty cool. She also taught me how to make chip dip, which was super simple, just cream cheese, honey, and spices mixed together. But I thought it was really special because it was the first thing I was able to make on my own. Another fun memory I have with Riley is when all of the adults would be playing Wii Sports bowling and one of them would get a gutter ball, she would run out and yell at them in a funny voice. It didn't take long before I started doing that too, because I thought it was hilarious, and I'm pretty sure I copied every single thing she did when I was little. Which I'm sure was super annoying, but she dealt with that, so I appreciate it. Visiting Riley was one of my all-time favorite things to do throughout childhood. She was always so fun to hang out with, and still is. Though we live quite a few states apart, my cousin Riley and I have a bond that can only be described as sisterly. She is one of my biggest role models, and I look up to her in many ways. I admire her for her individuality. I love her for her generosity and wonderful fun and how much she cares. I enjoy being around her because of her wonderful fun spirit and the way she never fails to make me smile. These three attributes to her personality lay the foundation of the love I have for my almost sister, Riley.